There's something about the DK Isle theme from Donkey Kong 64 that instantly transports people back to a simpler time. It isn't just memorable, it feels deeply nostalgic, almost like hearing a lullaby from childhood. The question is, why? What is it about this track that evokes such vivid memories and emotions? In this video, we'll dive into a detailed analysis of the DK Isle theme, explore its darker counterpart, Crocodile Isle, and examine how both versions use composition techniques to stir emotion. The DK Isle theme begins with a gentle and atmospheric introduction. Soft string pads create a dreamy soundscape, setting the tone with a sense of serenity. The harmony alternates subtly between a C major chord and a suspended fourth. This shift, while harmonically simple, builds and releases tension without ever leaving its harmonic home, like the ebb and flow of a calm tide. The occasional bass drum hits introduce a sense of adventure that lies ahead. Beneath it all, a simple bass line moves between the tonic C and dominant G notes. Despite the simplicity in pitch, the rhythm adds to the excitement of the bass drum with its syncopated feel. When the main melody enters, it's played by what sounds like a synthesized alto recorder. The tone is calm, peaceful, and slightly playful. The melody itself stays mostly within triatones, keeping it accessible and easy to remember. However, it does take a few interesting turns. A D appears where an E might be expected, giving it an almost add 9 flavor. This subtle variation adds depth and prevents the melody from becoming too predictable. In the sixth measure, an A-flat note sneaks in, introducing a brief sense of drama. This moment of tension quickly resolves, but it leaves an emotional fingerprint. The 10th measure intensifies this feeling further by introducing a G-flat, a kind of blue note that adds a splash of melancholy before the piece grounds itself again. The harmony under the melody follows traditional progressions, moving in a 1 to 4 to 5 cadence, but introduces unexpected chords like the minor 4 and 2-7. These twists add just enough surprise to keep the harmony engaging without making it feel unstable. In the repetition, a French horn joins the arrangement, providing a counter melody. The horn's warm tone adds a layer of reflection to the theme. It feels like revisiting a memory. The same melody, but now with the weight of experience. In this sense, the piece is not simply nostalgic, but rather addresses a long-forgotten memory in a metaphorical sense. The B section shifts the mood. Something I assume to be a clarinet carries the new melody, and it's more lyrical, less playful. It feels thoughtful, even a bit sad, but not hopeless. It still connects to the main motif, but includes enough variation to make it feel fresh. Harmonically, this section keeps things simple by alternating between the 4 and 5. But then it explores more minor chords, moving through E minor and A minor. The familiar 4 to 5 returns, but then there's a gentle build and release of tension through a G sus2 to G cadence. This makes the section feel like remembering something important and then looking forward with hope. The bass drum is still there and intensifies the impact of the minor chords, while the bass line becomes rhythmically simpler, getting rid of the adventurous vibe. A canon-like counterline from the recorder enters at this point, gradually bringing back the adventurous spirit of the main theme. It's as if a second character has joined the reflection, offering encouragement. The section ends with a trill, a playful flourish that suggests movement and excitement. In the final C section, the theme returns once again, but this time the melody is played on a marimba. The frugal instrumentation makes the mood feel more intimate and gentle. Steel drums shimmer quietly in the background, creating a tropical texture, like wind moving through leaves or the glint of sunlight on water. It's atmospheric and immersive, a moment where you seem to block out the noise and focus entirely on the atmosphere of your surroundings. The bass drum adopts a dotted rhythm here, creating a heartbeat that supports the marimba's careful footsteps without disrupting the calm. It's quiet, delicate, and deeply nostalgic. But what happens when this peaceful, nostalgic theme is reimagined through a darker lens? The Crocodile Isle theme is a reimagining of the Decay Isle theme, in C minor instead of C major. At first it seems familiar, but something is off. The tempo is slower, the mood darker, and the emotional tone completely different. It mirrors the slow, looming presence of King K. Rool and his mechanical, gloomy fortress. Like Decay Isle, the piece opens with a harmonic foundation around C, but here the harmony moves from C minor to C sus4 to C sus2, maintaining tension longer and refusing to resolve cleanly. Instead of the ambient comfort from the original, this version introduces unease. The bass line repeats its notes insistently, almost like a stabbing motion, anchoring the piece with a sense of dread. The bass drum, now reduced to a single hit, sounds less like a heartbeat and more like a death knell. Unlike the major version, this intro only lasts one measure instead of two, which cuts off expectations and creates a sudden, uncanny effect. The main theme is carried by a bassoon, a very low, ominous voice that gives the theme a threatening, swamp-like quality. The melody is mostly the same as Decay Isle's, but is reharmonized in the harmonic minor scale, adding a tragic weight to each phrase. Rather than the simplicity of a natural minor, the harmonic minor feels even heavier and more sorrowful. Harmonically, Crocodile Isle makes bolder choices. For example, where Decay Isle might use a straightforward F chord, Crocodile Isle opts for a D diminished chord, adding tension, unpredictability, and a darker complexity to the sound. When the theme repeats, the roles reverse. The bassoon now plays the counter melody, that the French horn once carried, while the recorder, once joyful and curious, reappears to play the now darkened main melody. This inversion is symbolic. Even the most innocent and playful part of the previous theme has been transformed into something morbid and foreboding. In the B section, the melody is once again played by the clarinet. Like in Decay Isle, this brings a slight shift in mood, but here it climbs more insistently, intensifying the emotional pressure. The rising line ends in a trill, which once signaled excitement, but now feels uncertain and nervous. The harmony in this section alternates exclusively between the 4 minor and 5 major, using rising inversions to build a slow, inescapable climax. Supporting this emotional arc are long bass notes that add gravity, while the strings begin to mimic the stabbing rhythm previously played by the bass. In the repetition, the recorder now doubles the clarinet an octave above, adding to the intensity and leading the piece to a climax. In the final section, the track lowers the intensity again, returning to a quieter, more intimate sound, but the stabbing rhythm of the bass is back, reminding us that danger still lurks. Like Decay Isle, Crocodile Isle mirrors the structure and instrumentation, but every choice is flipped to emphasize tragedy instead of tranquility. The brilliance of Crocodile Isle lies in its ability to reframe familiar material in an entirely new emotional light. It's not just a remix, it's a recontextualization, one that shows how the same musical elements can take on a different meaning depending on context. What makes the Decay Isle and Crocodile Isle themes even more memorable is how often they resurface throughout the Donkey Kong 64 soundtrack. These motifs aren't limited to the overworld, they weave themselves into numerous level themes, often in recontextualized ways that mirror the tone or setting of the environment. These callbacks aren't always front and center, but they're constantly echoing in the background, sometimes rhythmically disguised, other times harmonically bent to fit a new mood. This thematic recycling gives the soundtrack cohesion, reinforcing a sense of place and memory. It's as if the whole world of Donkey Kong 64 is built on the emotional DNA of these two core themes, reminding players of where they started, no matter how far into the game they go. The DK Isle theme is more than a piece of background music. It's a deeply emotional composition that captures the spirit of nostalgia. Through its gentle instrumentation, subtle harmonic twists, and layered development, it corresponds to the way we experience memory. Soft, warm, and sometimes unexpectedly bittersweet. When contrasted with the Crocodile Isle version, its emotional complexity becomes even more apparent. The same musical DNA produces entirely different feelings, proving the power of context and arrangement. Ultimately, this theme resonates not just because we remember playing the game, but because the music itself was composed to feel remembered. Before we wrap up, just a quick note. I'm not a professional composer or trained music theorist. I'm just a huge fan of video game music who enjoys diving into the details and sharing what I find. If I've, for example, misinterpreted something in my transcription, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope this analysis helped you hear it in a new way. See you in the next one.